Welcome to the Uriah Jokes Comedy Show. It's a show where Uriah jokes because he's trying to save money by not paying $5 to go to an open mic. Instead, he's going to give the jokes to you, and you're going to comment down below about whether or not you like the joke, or you're not going to leave any feedback. And you know what? I get it. Not leaving feedback on a podcast or on anything. On a comedy show. That's basically a podcast. That's basically just a guy talking to himself. Which we definitely need more of, is more men talking to each other on a podcast. Especially when they're talking to himself. Hey. And people are like, Uriah, feedback. Everyone wants feedback. You know what? My boss came up to me and said, hey, Uriah, you know what? Your problems at work are just starting to affect the team. And I'm like, I don't need any feedback right now. I'm on a cleanse. Hey, haha. Go. If you like that joke, then dive into the mind of Uriah Westman by hitting that like and subscribe button, because I'm making like 10 cents a video now, guys. This is fantastic. I could walk around the neighborhood and find 20 cents, or I could sit in a chair and find 10 cents. That's right. This is fantastic. Oh, I'm not going in the order of the jokes now. I had a roommate. I had a roommate. He would like always live like catchphrases all the time, like, think fast, and then he would throw something at me, or he would be like, don't knock until you try, and I'd be like, hey man, you gotta knock on my door first, you gotta let me know you come into my room, you can't just barge in here and be like, oh, don't knock until you try it, oh, no, you gotta knock on the door and try it if it's a door. He was also a horrible salesman. He would just barge into people's homes and be like, well, guess what? I'm selling vacuums, and don't knock until you try. What the hell are you doing in my house, man? Get out of here. And you know what, man? I got this guy. He's a graphic designer. Everything he designs is super graphic. Not all of them are going to be winners. I gotta slip a loser in there, but sometimes someone's gonna like that loser of a joke, which makes that joke a winner, which makes you a winner for getting that joke. Hey. And my jokes are a lot like babies. They're like little miracles, and once you start to understand them, they're golden. Hey. Man, I went on a date the other day, and it didn't go too well. I got ghosted. I shouldn't have took her to a haunted house. Hey, I wouldn't say I'm a gullible person, even though I just said I would be a gullible. I wouldn't say I'm a gullible person. Gullible. I wouldn't say I'm a person that's quick to... I wouldn't consider myself a gullible person, but you know what? I think I am gullible. I got this... I like to give back to the community, and that's why I write comedy bits, because I'm giving back to the community, because every bit counts. That's right. So, I had this friend, they didn't have a car, so I'm like, okay, I'll run some errands with you, just throw me some gas money, we'll travel around town, we'll get to know this town. And we're driving around town, he's like, hey man, I'm just gonna quickly run in and run out of here, alright? That's just one errand, I'm gonna run in and run out. And I'm like, okay, that sounds great. I thought he was talking about like a figure of speech. And then he runs in the bank, he robs the bank, runs back into the car. I'm like, what the hell, man? What are you talking about? He's like, I gotta get out of here, man. I just robbed this bank. I'm like, you didn't tell me you were gonna rob a bank. You just said you're gonna run some errands. You're gonna run in and run out. I'm like, oh man, he did tell me. He told me he was gonna run in somewhere and run out. When have you ever seen anyone just run into a building and be like, I gotta buy these apples right now, a dozen apples, they're my apples, and then he gets out of here. And then I'm like, okay, where are we going off to? It's like, okay, you're right. We gotta take these bills. We gotta take these bills, and we gotta clean them. I'm like, we gotta clean the bills. Now you're airing out your dirty laundry to me, man. I got things to do. I can't be helping you with these crimes. And he's like, I'll give you a couple dollars. I'm like, you're already giving me gas money. So I'm like, okay, man. First of all, I didn't go get gas yet. We gotta stop and get gas. Before you know it, there's sirens swirling. There's sirens swirling around. I'm like, oh man, you just had to go to this bank on this day, and you had to get the car for me. I got a Prius, man. I'm 0 to 60 in an hour, man. Do you know how long it takes me to get to 60 miles per hour? People are like, Uriah, you got a Prius? I'm like, yeah, I got a Prius and I'm white, so we're both honkies. It's like, Uriah, I don't got time to listen to your material. It's like, all I do is joke, man. He's like, we're driving, and the cops come. Oh, they're gonna pull me over. I'm like, relax, man. I'm gonna talk our way out of this. He's like, Uriah, this is no time to exercise your white privilege. I'm like, I'm not exercising anything. I can barely get up to go to the bathroom because I refuse to go on a run. The only run I'll go on is a beer run or running and run out with you. This is why I don't run. I just get in tons and tons of trouble with you because I'm running in and running out. Then you're running into problems. So the cop pulls us over. Whoop, whoop. Whoop, whoop. And I'm ready. I'm like, is there a problem, officer? And my friend's like, why the hell are you talking like that? I think this is the best way to be in this sort of reaction. And the cop's like, license and registration, please. Oh, we're in a musical, everybody. Hey, let's start dancing. And the cop is like, hell yeah, we're in a musical. And then that's when I remember that I have an acoustic guitar in the back of my car. So I'm like, excuse me, officer. I have a weapon in the back of my car. And that weapon is the biggest weapon in the world. And it's the weapon of mass distraction. So I pull out the acoustic guitar, and I'm like, listen here, officer. How about I can sing you and write you and show you the best song that you have ever heard in your entire life? And then that will be your ticket to ride the musical. And he's like, oh, I've never had this offer before. I've been offered drugs. I've been offered the car. I've been offered money. But I have never been offered the ability for a song to be written about me. And I had to be careful. People don't like cops nowadays. And I'm not trying to get political here. And if you're like, Uriah, don't talk about the police right now. You have no place to talk about the police. I'm doing an off-the-cuff sketch right now. I'm talking out my mouth hole with words that I've not pre-programmed myself to say. I'm not being robotic anymore. I'm talking and flailing my arms around. That's how you know I'm telling the truth. So the cop's like, what do you got for me? So I started doing the acoustic song. I'm like, okay, I got something for you. P is for police. O is for Olease. L is for loving. And it was in that moment that I realized that singing a song where I'm not a good speller was something I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. So I said to the officer, So I said to the officer, I can't sing a song about you, about just the word police. And then the cop said to me, whatever will get you to stop singing, I'll comply with. I'm like, all you gotta do, man, all you gotta do is let us go. So he let us go, and we sailed off into the sunset, which was weird, because we were driving a car. And I looked over at my best friend and said, how much money did you get from the bank? And he said to me, well, I didn't rob it. I just, I took out a big loan, and I got charged a high interest rate, so I got robbed. I wanted to run out of there before people saw how I got fleeced. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about, man? I just sang a song in front of the police. You didn't even rob the bank. So I told him, you know what? I am not going to just settle. I am not going to just be the guy who drives people around anymore. I'm driving you right back to that bank. You're going in there, and you are robbing that bank. So he goes back, and now he's doing 22 years in federal prison. And that's another example of and that's just another example of peer pressure. Come on, we know how hard it is nowadays. We know how hard it is nowadays. Of course, when it comes to succumbing to peer pressure. And I don't want to pressure you now, because we just realized the effects of pressure, of the peer pressure. But I'm pressuring you now to hit that like and subscribe button. That way, we can fund public defender and my friend who robbed the bank because I told him he needed to stop living a lie. And together, we can make this world a little bit of a better place by just hitting that like and subscribe button. Otherwise, you're robbing me, and you're robbing you and all your friends. Out of comedic bits. Out of a voice of a comedic generation, if that generation is just Uriah Westman's family, then that's technically true. But today, you can save a life. You can be bigger than anybody else in the world by just hitting that like and subscribe button. And that's the podcast. New podcast. No, there's a comedy show. Or is it a podcast? Just in case those other jokes didn't work, it was actually, and I went in to get a haircut. I went into Crazy Cuts. And they're like, I went in to go get a haircut. It's called Crazy Cuts. They only made cuts of Karen's haircut. And this has been the Uriah Jokes Comedy Show podcast, where he's talking to a microphone, goes on tangents that might go somewhere. But we all know is that mathematically, no matter where it's going, they're always going to